In the absence of value, price is the only consideration.
Lowest common denominator.
That's it. And competing on a business on price, you will almost always invariably go out of business. So what you want to do is communicate the value. Do you have a better warranty? Do you have a better inspection process? What is included in your price versus some of the other prices that you might get there, excluding key activities that are really necessary to deliver a high level product or service.
I can see the whole wide world with these two eyes, and I can be whoever I wanna be, 'cause it's my life.
Hi, thanks for joining us for another episode of Ask Spurrell CPA. Today, Edmonton Business Coach, we are talking about the most important template you have in your business, and that's phone scripts. So Edmonton Business Coach, and the most important template you generally have in your business is phone scripts. I have Trevor from Inspired Method here with me. Trevor, I've often said to people that I like the summer sometimes.
Yeah.
When I was a rookie, I realized that the summer was a time to take time off, and now as a veteran business owner, I've realized that all my competition is taking time off, and now is the time to bury them. So, Trevor, what do we got planned for Inspired Method coming up in the summer?
We're not going to be taking a lot of time off. We're going to be putting the foot to the gas and keep going and try and get the advantage over our competition. And not just that, but we really want to help small businesses to succeed, right? And that's the whole point of our existence. And we just want to help more people. So we're going to be active on the phones and getting more appointments and getting more people involved in what we're doing.
Right on, yeah. So the quote that we have here today, talking about templates and phone scripts, Michael Gerber, author of, my favorite, The E-Myth. If your business depends on you, you don't own a business, you have a job. And it's the worst job in the world because you're working for a lunatic, that lunatic being you.
Yes.
Of course. So the statistic here is that 50% of all Canadian small businesses will go out of business in the first 5 years, and 42% of these failed businesses will list the inability to onboard enough customers as one of the primary reasons for failure, making it the top reason that a small business is likely to go out of business, their inability to get enough customers. And so the story that we have here, all business owners, regardless if we have $1 to start our business or $1 million to start our business, we have 168 hours in the week. However, some business owners create a bottleneck in onboarding clients by insisting on personally taking inbound calls from prospective clients. Even worse, some business owners delegate the task to someone who doesn't have any training to increase their effectiveness. Either way, we lose sales because either we can't take the call ourselves personally or we give it to someone who doesn't have any training to do so. So, Trevor, what are the questions that these business owners should be asking?
Well, one question is your inbound call procedure template often the most important template?
In most businesses, it's probably the single most important template that you can do. There's a reason why I bring hours to the business boot camp, and I tell this is the example of what you need to ask and what you should be prepared to answer when a client calls in, because you work so hard to get the phone to ring and you lose it.
Yeah.
You lose that customer because you didn't answer the phone the right way. So it's likely the most, whether you're an accountant or a small business marketing firm, or you're a plumber or you're a veterinarian, you better pick up the phone the right way and convert that person to a customer once they've taken the time to call. It's the most important template. It's the one you should probably do first in most businesses.
Right. So Josh, will most people who call in simply ask for a price?
Yeah, that's usually the first thing that they can ask. And in most businesses, you probably aren't even able to give them a reliable price rate over the phone.
Right.
Sometimes you can on it if it's a smaller project or something, but usually if it's a project of any scope, people call into our business, I'm actually not sure what the price is. So if you're calling me to ask the price and you're going to make the decision, which accountant to hire, you're probably going to hire the wrong accountant. It's the same thing. You could be hiring an electrician. You're hiring an electrician. You relay the price over the phone. So a non-electrician is relaying it to an electrician on the phone. There's going to be some errors in that scope of work. So most people are going to ask for a price, and you should probably have a mechanism to tell them why pricing it over the phone is likely inaccurate, and so they probably shouldn't make their decision based over the phone, but you'd have a really succinct way to describe the fact that pricing over the phone is probably a bad idea. And if other people are giving you a price over the phone, you probably shouldn't trust that price.
Right. Yeah. So do you need strategies to communicate value instead of just price on the phone?
Yeah, 100%. In the absence of value, price is the only consideration.
Lowest common denominator.
That's it. And competing on a business on price, you will almost always invariably go out of business. So what you want to do is communicate the value. Do you have a better warranty? Do you have a better inspection process? What is included in your price versus some of the other prices that you might get there, excluding key activities that are really necessary to deliver a high level product or service. So you need to start thinking about, in that script, communicating the value. Not that it's so long that people are tiresome, but communicating it really succinctly. Sometimes it's just a matter of asking the right questions.
Right.
If you start asking enough background questions, that price is more reliable, or that person who's going to give you a price at some point is more reliable. What probably cares enough to ask the right questions to give you the right product or service. So sometimes it's just about the questions that you're going to ask. It's going to demonstrate to the potential client that this is the right person who's going to do the job correctly and give me what I exactly want.
Right. Now, are the questions to ask an inbound call lead often the most important checklist?
Yeah, so you have that, template, the way you answer the phone and things that you can say to the phone, common objections on how we handle if they're just asking for price, or if they want to ask to the business, speak to the business owner all the time. But then if they're clearly a potential client, what questions do you need to ask them so you're prepared for their first visit, or when you give them a quote, or when they come in for a consult? Did you ask the right questions so you were prepared to deliver as much value in that initial interaction? That is probably the most important checklist. So we have the most important template being the phone scripts, common things that you're going to say on the phone, and then the most important checklist is that initial client intake questionnaire.
All right, Josh. So should you start by gathering contact info and finding how they heard about you?
Yeah, you want to get their info first, because if the phone call gets disconnected, or someone gets busy and they got to go right away and they can't finish it, if you don't have their info, you can't call them back. That lead is now dead, right? You also want to start gathering how did they hear about you, because that might determine how you're going to treat them. Maybe they were referred from some other client. Maybe there's someone completely cold. They just found you on Google. But you want to see that, because they might have, sometimes if you're doing scripts and if your business is big enough, you might actually be talking to a current client too, and that can be a little bit embarrassing too. So if you don't have that built in, so find out who they are, where they heard about you, and then proceed with the rest of the information that you need to deliver value.
Right, so do these initial questions allow you to be prepared for the initial meeting?
Yeah. So it's demonstrating on the phone to them that you do care enough to deliver a high level of service, that you're taking all of their uncertainties away by asking the right questions about things. They're thinking about hiring you, but they're worried this could go wrong or that could go wrong. And if you start asking them questions to find out the background information to make sure that won't go wrong, they're going to have more trust in you. And now you're also in a better position to start asking even better questions in that initial consult, right? So you have that initial information, you have that initial interaction. You're going to give them an estimate. You're going to have a consult with this person. Now you can start giving them specific information about, you already know on a general way what's important to them, what's not important to them. You can start pointing out the specific parts of your product or services that fits the needs that they're trying to fill.
Now, will these questions demonstrate that you can add value?
Yeah. I mean that it's all in the key. It really is. There's some things that you can anecdotally say in there. Sometimes maybe we have this warranty, or we do. We include deliverables A, B, and C with our product. But those questions, it really is probably the best way to deliver value. If you just give them a sales pitch, it'll just sound insincere. But if you ask questions to find out what's important to them, that's probably the best way to communicate to that person that you actually care about what their needs are, and you are going to deliver value.
Now, is there a balance between demonstrating value and taking too long on the phone?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so you do want to communicate value. You want to ask those right strategic questions. You can put in a couple quips here and there about what separates you from your competition. But if that script is going to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, like at some point they don't want that. It's too long, right? So you want to probably hit the most important pain points, the most likely things on your phone script of what they need and what they need help with. But after that, you don't want to keep them too long on the phone. I would say that that ultimate interaction is certainly 15 minutes or less, maybe 10 minutes less, maybe 5 minutes or less, right? But there's a certain point where you're no longer communicating value and you're annoying them. So you need to be succinct enough. Not the shortest person on the phone, because that person probably won't communicate enough value, but the longest person on the phone is probably going to seem too inefficient too.
Right. Now, what is the one line you can use to get back onto the script?
So someone asks you, you're trying to get their name and then the name of their business or something like that on the phone, and they just want to jump straight to, let's say it's price, or they want to find out about your warranty. It's like, yeah, absolutely, I can help you with that, getting a price. But let me just ask you, what's the name of your company? And you just go straight back into the script. It's like a ninja move. I don't know why it works, but I know it just works. So you're not saying that you won't give them what you want, but you're almost just insisting politely on the order of what you're going to go through things, because a lot of times as a professional, if you don't get their name, their address, the time of the meeting, you're never going to get them the price that they want.
Right.
So what's the point of focusing on that? But you don't want to be argumentative. I can't do that. You just agree. Absolutely, I can help you with that. But let me just ask you, and then you just go back to the order of the script that you have. It works almost every time.
Now, why should you always smile when you're on the phone?
So a lot of people don't know this, and they just think, I'm on the phone, so as long as I sound pleasant, it would be fine. And some people are terrible, and they actually just think it doesn't matter if I sound pleasant. I think they think sometimes that if they sound really abrupt, that they are ultra professional. More people will hate you than think that you're ultra professional, trust me. So you want to be, sound pleasant, but even go one step further, you should actually be smiling while you're on the phone. And there's a lot of psychological evidence that says people can recognize the pitch of your voice difference when you're smiling. So even if you're just trying to sound pleasant, but you are not smiling, psychologically, we've just been pre-programmed. We've heard enough people talk in our lives that we know the difference between someone who is pleasant and fake pleasant.
Yeah, and something interesting that I learned over this past weekend, I was listening to a great audiobook. There's the 7-38-55 principle. 7% is what you say, 38% is how you say it, the tone and inflection, and 55% is body language. Wow. So that's massive when you're communicating to another human being. How you communicate it is more important than what you actually are saying.
That's incredible. Yeah.
So, last question. Do you need to practice using the inbound template and lead checklist?
100%. So you can just write this template, but you need to practice doing it, because if you practice doing it, you're going to identify inefficiencies in it. You're going to say, oh, this actually didn't flow that well. It looked good on paper when I wrote it down, but when I actually tried to say it, it sounded awkward. And then, you're just going to get better at it too. So even if it is the right thing that you want to do, the only way to get better at it is to practice it. And sometimes we think that we are, once we write it down, we can do it 100%. There is nothing in any walk of life that you can do. If you want to be good at anything, you have to practice it. So yeah, that you get that inbound template of the things you want to say on the phone. You get that lead checklist of the questions you want to ask and the information you want to get. You write it down. You practice it to make sure it is actually an efficient way to communicate on the phone, and then you practice it some more to get excellent at it.
Thanks so much, Josh.
Yeah, so that's what we have here today. Thanks again for tuning in. As always, please, leave us some comments so we know what you guys would like in future videos. And also, please hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to deliver you tips on how to beat the odds of business.